Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to SMG Viewers Comments episode 126. It's about 11 o'clock at night and I usually have these done well ahead of time. It's Thursday night, just got back from a Star Wars double feature. Sat through The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. It was fucking cool, but I hate spoilers. All I'm gonna say is go see the film. Anyway, let's get right to it.
What'd you have the Tele running through?
I had the Tele running through the exact same setup I detailed in the greatest guitar trick I ever learned. If you haven't watched that video yet, please do. It works great on all sorts of stuff, not just metal guitars. It absolutely rocked on those Teles. It gave just a really nice amount of room and space for the drums and bass in that mix to come through. If you guys have not checked out my Dark Glass review, please do. Honestly, it's got one of the best mixes I've ever done on it, and I'm going to see about possibly making those stems available. We're going to have some details at the end of the show about that, if I remember. It's been a long fucking night. Bear with me. Next question.
Hey Glenn, how often do you change the heads on your studio kit?
The drums don't get used all that much, so maybe a year or two, all depending. The snare will get changed out first, most often, followed up by the kick head. The kick is at least once a year. You can definitely tell when it's not sounding right. It'll sound a little flatter when it toms. Basically until they start getting divots, and that's about it. Your mileage will vary as well. It depends on how hard your drummer hits and how often it's being used. When I had bands coming in and out of here, like, 2-3 times a month, I'd probably change my skins out at least once a month, just to keep the drums in absolute tip-top condition, and then the drummers would still bitch.
How do you deal with band members that choke up in the studio? I usually do a practice run of the song bit and record them that way. When they realize they gotta take, it usually breaks them out of their performance anxiety.
Oh, I have seen all kinds of methods for dealing with that. Substance abuse, throwing other members of the band out of the studio. I always find that works really well. I've seen great musicians just completely choke under red light fever. When the record buttons hit and everybody's staring at them and all the attention's on them and they just fucking fumble their way through their tracks. Great story I've got on this. I did a band, I don't know, about 2000, 2001, something like that. And the guitar player's nickname was Lightning Fingers. By the end of the session, it was Butterfingers. So that's just how it goes. I find, usually when somebody's under a lot of pressure like that, it's a good idea to kick the rest of the band out of the studio like, hey guys, go get us lunch or go get us coffee or something like that. That can ease things up quite a bit. I've seen alcohol and other substances used occasionally. I can't say I really approve of those methods, but, hey, if it works, it works. Just don't get in your car and drive afterwards because that's really fucking stupid.
Anyone has an idea on how to get that bass tone? That sounded incredible.
You have to be a fucking bass player. Did you not watch the video? Dark Glass Microtubes 900 head. Dark Glass Cabinet, Roswell Mini K47, Great River MP to Envy, and Empirical Labs Distressor. Use all of that, plus a precision bass with new strings, and yes, you will get that bass tone. I thought I spelled it out there, but, apparently you missed the obvious. And you guys think I'm making it up about bass players. Case confirmed right there.
I'm working at a factory right now, just like you used to. I feel like music is the only thing keeping me from blowing my brains out from the sheer monotony and tedium of the work. I work afternoons so I can spend the morning on guitar songwriting stuff. I put a solid 2 to 3 hours in each day. My skills have improved tremendously, but at the point I want to join a band, it's hard to see how I can do that when my entire week is taken by work since I'm on afternoons and can't be available for rehearsals if I were in a band except on weekends. It seems I need to be on a day shift in order to pursue my band dreams, and that might mean finding a new job altogether.
Dude, I sympathize. First off, I still have my day job. I worked shift work for 20 years, basically. 2 weeks afternoons, 2 weeks days, and I did like a year and a half stint on steady midnights. That was fucking brutal too. I thought, oh great, it's gonna free up all this time, and usually I'd find myself laying in bed staring at the ceiling thinking about all the great things I was gonna do after I woke up and just not getting any fucking sleep. That was fucking brutal. Everybody out there working midnights, believe me, that is fucking difficult. My hat's off to you guys. You guys are fucking tough, and girls. But when it comes to the balancing work and band, that is the motherfucker. I loved working afternoon shift, but when I was recording bands like 2-3 times a month, I do 2 weeks days, 2 weeks afternoons because you can't track bands when you're working afternoon shift because pretty much the rest of the world just is on a day shift type schedule. So I track bands when I was on day shift, track on the weekends, track on the weeknights. And then when I go on afternoons, that's when I do the editing and mixing when the band wasn't around. So I got to get the real work done. So that's how I balanced maybe Find a job where you could maybe ask if you can shift or trade off with other workers. That might work as well. Good luck, dude. Believe me, I've been there. It's fucking brutal. I hope you pull through. I hope you make it.
Nice to see that Glenn is still pretending like the only assholes in the music industry are the musicians and never the engineers. As if studio owners and engineers needed any more excuses to act like total dickheads.
When did I ever say I wasn't an asshole?
Bro, everything about music sucks to you. Go find happiness somewhere.
Want to see something awesome? Want something I love? Go to a fucking Steel Panther live show. They're absolutely fucking brilliant. What also doesn't suck? I heard 15 seconds of the new Judas Priest record with Andy Sneap and Tom Allen working on that record, and it sounded fucking magnificent. It's like suddenly they turned the clock back 30 years. That sounds pretty cool. The Sword records, those are fucking cool. There's so much great shit about music. Once in a blue moon, I actually get to do something really cool in here, like the Dark Glass demo. Seriously, check that out. That was a lot of fun. That was just an infectious song and couldn't stop listening to it. It's fucking wicked.
Hey Glenn, quick question. I interned at a local recording studio not too long ago, and during time, I determined that the studio life really wasn't for me. Besides that, however, I feel like I was being taken advantage of the entire time. The head engineer was a broody prima donna type who never really taught me anything besides the one time he showed me how to set up a tape machine. And constantly told me to do things that had nothing to do whatsoever with the studio. For example, he once asked me to come in one day when there was no session to babysit one of the other engineers' daughters. I finally got fed up and told him I wasn't going to be his personal assistant for free, and he told me to stop coming in. Most of the other engineers were also weirdos without even the most basic of social skills. As far as I can tell, the labor laws in my state require any unpaid internship program to be able to prove that an education is being provided in exchange for the labor. So this internship was almost definitely illegal. My question is this standard practice in the industry? Also, what's your take on this?
Weirdos without even the most basic of social skills. That can work to your advantage on YouTube. Seriously, though, in Windsor, Ontario, there's not much of a music industry, so I'm pretty much self-sufficient, so I've never really had interns come in. I've talked with Warren, and I know he's gone through an awful lot of interns. Like, they don't last very long. A lot of them do, because they fuck up in some colossal way, or they're just not reliable, or they don't show up, or there's any number of things. But he's had a couple of good ones come in, and I gotta give a shout out to Mr. Eric Gonzalez, who graduated from intern to becoming Warren's engineer. Dude, I know we give you a hard time, but seriously, great work, and it's really cool to know you. Anyway, besides all that, I don't know who you're dealing with, what your situation was, but yeah, babysitting, that might be asking a little too much. And if you weren't getting an education for it, maybe file a complaint with your state. Whoever makes the laws or something like that, that might be worth something looking into. Because if they're basically using interns as a free labor pool and not educating you in return, that's really not cool. And yeah, they probably should be investigated. That's what I do anyway. But for the record, here at Spectre Sound, I've had a couple people come by once or twice, maybe for an evening or something like that. But I've never really had any full-time interns because my schedule is just too fucking crazy to be anything normal.
My 9-year-old daughter told me she wants to be a YouTuber. I was probably about as excited to hear that as my parents were when I told them I would be a musician. But 30 years later, I really appreciate the effort you put into this channel. My band recorded our first album on tape not long before Napster changed the game. I could easily get discouraged, but neither my kids nor myself need any of that. Thanks for doing what you do. It's inspiring.
So your 9-year-old daughter wants to be a YouTuber. I think that's kind of cool. And that was what a lot of the kids at that OYART thing we did a couple weeks ago with all us music YouTubers. That's one thing we heard a lot from them too, is a lot of them want to be YouTubers and whatnot. And I know a lot of kids out there want to be YouTubers. In fact, I want to be a YouTuber one day. I'd like to do it full time. I've still got my day job. I told myself when I hit 250,000 subscribers, I was going to take a serious look at retiring from my day job. Right now, I'm at about 232 and change, almost 233. So, hey, if you guys could help by hitting that subscribe button, believe me, that would get me that much closer to my goal. I would appreciate it so much. But seriously, to the 9-year-olds out there, to the kids out there, you want to do YouTube, I think that's great. I think that's fantastic. I think you should do it. But you have to have something to offer. Whether it be knowledge in a particular field, or you're entertaining, or you're a good singer, or you're funny, or whatever, okay? Don't just, make videos of you making a peanut butter sandwich or, bullshit that everybody knows already. If you've got something unique to offer, believe me, people will watch. And, or if you're in a situation where a lot of other people are in, people will watch as well. And that's kind of where I came in, where it turns out I'm not the only person who deals with these insane studio frustrations all the time. So my suggestion is, yeah, go for it. You know what? Pursue your dreams. Do it. But make sure you put the effort in and make sure you have something to bring to the table.
Glenn, please tell me what the fuck do I do with my singer? He is good at singing, screaming, and is a nice person, but he is so cringe with his lyrics and titles. What do I do? Is there a way I can make him less cringe? Because his titles and lyrics make me want to take a cyanide pill.
2 suggestions. You can try writing the lyrics instead of bitching about them, or 2, just don't fucking worry about it. I mean, like, you know, unless you're starting to sell, you know, thousands upon thousands of records, or even millions of records, and you're on your way to the top of the charts, and then you find the lyrics embarrassing, then you might have a reason to bitch. But the fact that nobody really knows who you are, I wouldn't be worrying about that so much. I'd be more worrying about perfecting your live show and being entertaining.
Hey Glenn, thanks for the great videos, learned a lot. You really know where your towel is. One question that still no one is able to answer, at what volumes do you mix? I tend to mix at very low volume, and I feel I mix different when I do it at louder volume. Is it just personal preference, or is there a gold standard? I use KRK5s for recording at home in a semi-treated room, and I use my stereo in the living room and my MP3 player for sanity checks. Greetings from Germany.
I think it's fine to mix at low volumes. We hear things better at lower volumes. There's actually a curve, like a kind of a law of diminishing returns kind of thing when you start increasing volume. And you're going to lose your objectivity, especially if you listen cranked all the time. That being said, punching up the volume for a couple minutes every now and then is a good idea, just to kind of get the wash. So a little bit of change of perspective is great. The other thing you should do is always check your mixes in mono to make sure everything works. It's very, very important, and a lot of us always overlook that. So all you guys watching at home, make sure you listen to your mixes in mono, because if they sound like shit and get in mono, guess what? You're doing it wrong.
Hey Glenn, I just bought the Roswell Mini K47, which is the 3rd piece of gear I bought under your recommendation. So far, thanks for the great content and info. Keep it up.
Yeah, but you didn't say if you liked it. I got a feeling you did, though. Seriously, yeah, the Mini K47 is fucking amazing. Just a spectacular mic. It's got so many great applications. Sounds great on overheads. Sounds great as a bass amp mic. As you guys will hear on the Dark Glass demo. If you haven't already, please check it out. It turned out great.
Glenn, I think this was the best sounding mix you've done so far on the channel, and I've listened to them all. Great work. Also, this was probably the best group of musicians you've had for a gear demo. Congrats on the amazing job, and please keep the videos coming.
Thank you so much. You know, I've definitely taken a lot of crap over the last few years for some of my mixes, and that's fine. Some of it's deserved, some of it's not. Every once in a while, though, I do get it right, and I'm really proud of that one. And I can only, you know, take credit as far as pushing the buttons and, you know, hooking up the mics and that kind of stuff and getting those in the right place. The performances were everything in that. And, you know, we just had a spectacular couple of musicians on there. Cam Fleury on drums and Keith Wilkinson on guitar and bass. Everything just kind of came together on that. And what's really cool is it's Thursday night, 2 days from now on Saturday. They're both going to be back in the studio here. And hopefully we're going to do a couple more tracks with Cam anyway. Those two have never actually met, so I want to put them in the same room and just kind of see what happens. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your support. So please, if you have not hit the subscribe button, please do. I'm going to put a link right here for that. Also, if you want to grab my premium lesson, I'll put a link down for that. That kind of takes you through my drum and guitar mix for that Christian bass song I did. And it goes through all my presets, how I treat the drums, how I treat the guitars, everything you need to know. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.